welcome to everybody for coming. I've been looking forward to this. It's been a long time coming along. I wanted to do this presentation back in May of 2025 after we ran the Pecos so many times last spring. But thanks to Adam for being able to compile this final presentation, and he's going to do most of the talking tonight. We've had previous meetings about the legal proceedings, the battles that we've been through on the Pecos to make possible what we have today. That's the goal today, I believe, is what Adam wants to tell us is how boatable it is, where we can go, how much fun it is. I don't want to take any more time away from Adam. I want him to get right into it. So welcome Adam Hill. He's been on the board with AWC before. He's on the A team for sure. He's been at every one of these Pecos events, removing fences and documenting everything up there, and it's been a great asset. So nobody better than Adam to present on this. I'm going to leave my mic open, Adam, if you don't mind, and if I see anything I can comment on some of the pictures. Otherwise, I'll try to let you do most of the talking. So go ahead.
Okay. Sounds great, Scott. Thank you so much for that really great introduction. I appreciate it. And thank you all for being here. I have honestly never in my life been so excited to present about something. I've seen new rivers. I've gotten to do a lot of really cool things since I got into boating, but I think this is the most amazing because closer to Albuquerque than the race course is just absolutely beautiful whitewater. And I get to tell you about it because I got to run it thanks to all the hard work from a lot of people. And we'll talk a lot more about that at the end. But I want to talk about where to go, how awesome it is as kind of an overview. It's about 10 miles. I don't have a good map. I'm hoping to put some good maps together. Our maps are still a little crude because we only ran this once. And this had been off of everybody's radar. I've been boating in this area for a long time, doing all kinds of things, and until it opened up, I never even considered it. So we've done about 10.4 miles from this is the Mora River confluence down to the Dalton picnic area, and I put it on kind of a bigger map so you could see where Pecos is and where Santa Fe is. It is up there in the beautiful Pecos wilderness. I think most of us have seen this place before. I think most people have been to Cowles. It is just gorgeous. And that river is gorgeous, and it is super awesome. Like I say, high mountain creeky. I was going to change this to class 2 plus to 3. It's class 2 most of the way, but there's not a lot of eddies. There's not a lot of choices. And it can get a little pushy, especially at higher flows. Down at about 175 CFS, which is the lowest I ran it. I think I ran it 3 times last year. At 175, it was a little scrapey. It wasn't bad, but you spent most of your time finding the one channel that was deep enough for your IK. I preferred it at 200 or above. There it's just pure fun. It's just so fun. There's a few class 3 rapids. They may turn class 4. And we'll get to those when we get into the specific sections. The other great thing about this super special 10 miles of river that we've discovered so far, I'm describing 4 short little segments of it. There's actually even more places you can put in and take out. So there's just lots of access. And it's so close to home and so beautiful. It's such a treat. And I tried to put in as many pictures as I could. Unfortunately, right after we ran it, I lost my phone, and I lost all the pictures from, I think, 2 of the 3 trips that I got to take. The 4 major sections that I broke into different slides from Mora Campground, you can go down to Jamie Coke, which is right by Torero. There's Burt Clancy's not that far from that, but there's the Jamie Coke Pavilion there. And then from Jamie Coke, you can go to the Torero Campground, and then on to Burt Clancy. And then from Burt Clancy to Windy Bridge, New Mexico 13, just nice little sections you can cut it up into. And they're all fairly similar difficulty. There are only a few real big rapids. If you've ever done the Taylor River below the reservoir there, it reminds me a lot of the Upper Taylor. Just really, really beautiful. There are some fishing weirs similar to the Taylor that can create some hazard. We were able to scout and pretty easily go over those. I think we had one person swim on a fishing weir because they're good enough to get you. There's some good drops there, and it's kind of hard because you just see this horizon line and you're like, where is the actual good place to catch that? So from the Mora River confluence, these pictures are taken from an app that Scott has that marks a lot of the features along the river where there's fences are these purple things. What's the yellow thing, Scott?
That yellow is a gate. It's a compliant gate, so it's just a hanging PVC fence now.
Okay. So you go through a few fences, but all of the dangerous fences are removed, and you can float through all of them. They're the hanging PVC type fences that are not really a big hazard. The one that was near the bottom, we took out this spring, fall.
October 12th.
Okay. Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. Um, and yeah, lots of people did a lot more work than that. But anyway, this section really no serious hazards from fences. Um, it will be you'll need to keep your eyes open. People could put up new fences. We're deep in the pine forest here, so any of those pine trees could have a bad day and fall over the river and create an extremely dangerous river-wide strainer. Um, we actually removed one that uh, made itself a river-wide strainer between the first time that I ran it and the last time that I ran it. When we first went down there, it wasn't there, and then a couple weeks later, it was pretty close to river wide. We were able to skirt around it, but a lot of people decided to portage because it made such a dangerous looking hazard. So, it's not the race course. The conditions can change quite a bit. Here's some pictures from that section, and I probably should have gone to pictures earlier so you didn't have to stare at my text. Um, this is just a little drop at the gauging station on the Mora River. We were putting in on the Mora. There's a nice campground there and a day use area where you can get access to the river and put in. Beautiful place to blow up your boat and just a wonderful place to put in. Like all of the accesses are exceptional for this section of river. And yeah, we're putting in above the gauge and dropping in. And then from there, most of this section, these pictures do a pretty good job of describing it. Pretty creaky. You kind of see how there's not a lot of eddies to catch. The river's just kind of pushing you down, and there's just not a lot of options. So you're kind of forced to go where the current is going. So if you enjoy that kind of creaky boating, that's for you. But be
Adam,
prepared for that. Go ahead.
Adam, do you remember what level this was at?
It's about 200.
Yeah, I think these pictures were from a 200 or a little higher
Yeah,
because I was with my friend Jacob when we did it at 178. I think it was kind of fluctuating a little bit on the gauge, and it was a little bony, but we
the,
still had fun.
the October 12th and 13th trip that we did last year, I had 160 up to 210 CFS, depending on the section and time of day and all that.
Was that in October? Did you make it back in October?
No, that was April 12th and
Oh,
13th.
April 12th.
Steve
Okay.
and I saw it at one point, and it was over 300 at Jamie Koch, and it was too ferocious. We had not run the river at that time, so we chose not to run it that day. We just worked on the fence and scouted the river from the roadways.
Yeah, I think the gauge in Pecos that time was 350, and
Yeah,
frankly, it was quite scary at that level.
especially not knowing the run. We had never been
Yeah.
down it at that time yet. I had only done the section. November 19th, 2024 was the first time I think it had been paddled, and that's when we got word that the fences were down. And I ran a small pack raft and stopped and talked to one of the landowners there. And that was a very short 1.5 mile section from Mora day use area down to Jamie Kott's Pavilion.
So this section in particular that we're talking about right now.
Yeah, this section right here.
So this section's pretty short. You probably, wouldn't take out at Jamie Coke unless you're really wanting to just dip your toe and do a short section. So we'll kind of move along from Jamie Coke down to Burt Clancy. As you see, there's not a lot of fences. There aren't any hazards. You could also take out at Torero Campground, slightly above that on the other side of the river.
Adam, there used to be the 4 worst fences were in that first top section. The top one was
Yeah.
completely removed. The Briones fence was mitigated. AWC and New Mexico Paddlers Coalition replaced the Sandra Bennett fence, and then just recently we took out the Dominguez fence. Those 4 worst fences were in that upper section. There's also an icon there with a great camping spot too.
Yeah, absolutely. This section of river is really special. It's really beautiful. This is where the road goes up the hill away from the river. So it makes sense that there'd have been fewer fences here because there aren't houses down there. You're kind of deep in the canyon in the forest, which is really beautiful. And the camping that's shown up here up 646, there's excellent dispersed camping there. When we were there in April, there was very few people there. Some of the campgrounds down along the river, and there's plenty of them, had a lot of people there or were full. You can reserve them in advance, and some of them you have to reserve in advance. But the camping up here, up in the woods, you get away from the river, unfortunately, but you also get away from the road, and it's just gorgeous. There's plenty of space, just great camping as well. And just above Torero is one of the biggest rapids of this 10.4 mile stretch. We've been calling it triple drop rapid, but there's 3 good drops back to back. When we ran it, you were able to just basically stay in a left channel and not get involved in any of the insanity that was going on in those rapids, but the drops are pretty substantial and they could definitely be tricky. They could get worse. And if that left lane gets closed and you have to kind of go through that rock field, it's going to be a pretty tough rapid potentially. But really good fun class 3 drops. And then Holy Ghost comes in and adds some flow. So as you go down, the flow picks up a bit. There is a gauge on the Mora, so you can check that as well. We've been going mostly off the Pecos gauge. So when we refer to the gauge, we're talking about the Pecos gauge.
Adam, just real quick, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we have had 3 gals, Kate Larish and Natalie and Mohan. They ran hard shells in this section, but everybody else has been in IKs or pack rafts. We haven't ventured taking a small raft down, and it would be a real challenge to get a small raft down. So this is primarily an inflatable or a skilled kayak river. It's very shallow, so if you're in a hard shell, you've got to be prepared for that.
Yeah, this section is a treasure. It is so fun. There's a good look at the very bottom of that triple drop rapid I was talking about. You can see more rapid up above there. You can just kind of barely make out in the background, but it's pretty good steep, and you're in the forest, and it's just super beautiful section.
Both Donna and I asked if this rapid can be portaged in the chat.
Yes, it has been portaged. It would be a long portage just because there's 3 drops, so you kind of scout the first one, and whenever I led the teams down, we saw it, and I got out and scouted. And then by the time I scouted the one rapid, I'm like, well, I better scout that next one. And then I better scout that next one. So you end up walking quite a ways. So it would be a fairly long portage.
But there's a nice fisherman's trail all along there, river left.
Yeah, there is a good trail. So, and I would scout it from river left. I might have mentioned that.
Joey wants to know if a puma can get through.
I think Joey could take
Joey would be fine in a Puma.
Anybody else, I'd be concerned, but I think Joey could do it.
Yep. Yeah, I think he'd be fine. He'd probably want 200 CFS when it was down below 200 when I ran it at 175 or so. We were really finding narrow little channels for our IKs. But and I was just taking my spud. I wasn't even taking my outfitter.
I wouldn't recommend an oar boat, but a paddle raft, small one like that would be fine. Adam, your strawberry shortcake could do good in there with the right crew.
Yeah, no, I agree. A small raft, especially paddles. And you know, if you're really into the raft thing, if it's higher water, it's totally doable. Um, Lower water, I'd be really careful, and it is going to be very narrow, creaky rafting. So I would, you know, make sure you got your skills. Okay, next section from Burt Clancy down to Windy Bridge. This is another just awesome section. Uh, what are the X's? Do you know?
That's
Scott,
where the
on the
nasty
map?
fence is at the upstream side of
Oh,
Trace
Trace
Lagunas.
Lagunas. Yeah. So that Trace Lagunas fence is still there right now. I'm gonna I'm gonna switch to the pictures. Unfortunately, because I lost so many pictures, the only photos I have of this section are the Trace Lagunas fence. But I like these two particular photos. It shows us portaging it. It shows kind of the wire wrapped around the log, and you can see how that fence dips into the current. That's kind of at the bottom of a long stretch of really fast water. Kind of a rapid. You can see even looking downstream, that's where it's slowing down. So if you don't see this fence in time, it could be extremely dangerous. And that's why I don't ever want to boat by this again without taking it out. And Scott's working on, you know, making sure that we have official permission to take it out, but I don't want it there. It's very dangerous. Um, that said, the section is awesome, and that fence shouldn't last long. This has probably the most consequential rapid on this entire stretch, which is just above Windy Bridge. You cross under the highway, and where you cross under the highway on that bridge, there's another cable that comes across that could be a hazard potentially, but you can usually dodge it pretty easy. You just gotta not uh, fail to see it, and you should be okay.
Adam, a good landmark for that bridge, it's right by that fire station from the highway. You can't see it from the
Yeah,
river, but from the highway, you'll see the fire station.
yep. And it continues just beautiful, fast moving class 2+ water. And after that bridge, you come around a corner to the left, and there's that rapid just above Windy Bridge, which is class 3, maybe 3+, um, at 250. And I could easily see it getting worse if the flow was higher. You got to make a minimum, you got to make a 90-degree left turn, but there's multiple rocks you got to dodge while you're doing that. So I haven't swam there yet, knock on wood, but it's a pretty tough rapid. It's a good one and a really fun drop. Drops off good. And then past Windy Bridge, as you get into the next section, there's kind of a rapid that continues under Windy Bridge and around as you go toward Dalton. The last 4 miles, it drops off to you're going through more private property. You can kind of see on the map that there's some property in some flat area next to the river. So there's fishing weirs, and a little bit more private property. There's 2 logs across the river down there. One we've been able to go under every time. That log is huge. It's a tree about, I don't know, it's gotta be a 3.5 foot diameter trunk going across the whole river. We've been able to go under. And there's another one that's not quite as big, but it's kind of on private property. And that one you have to get out in portage. It's not in a dangerous place at all. It's on a very flat section of river where you're just like, oh, well, I'm not going to be able to boat over that log. So we better pull over and drag our boats over it. Um, but still just a beautiful section of river. Kind of brings the whole 10 miles together, 10.5 miles that we've found so far. And yeah, I can't say enough about how awesome the river that we've discovered so far is. And what makes it even more special are that the flows recur. Even last year really wasn't a great year for most rivers. We had some good flowable weekends. I was able to make it 3 times in the spring. It was flowable again in the fall. Unfortunately, I wasn't available to go, or I would have. This is the kind of place where if it's flowing, I'm going. So you'll probably see me there if you go, and hope to see you there. The fact that it's so close to home is awesome. Here's the gauge data, and here's the gauge that we use. And a link to it. For the Pecos gauge, it's ice right now, so it's not interesting to look at. There's no data. But here's kind of the hydrograph, so you get the sense for, as long as there's some variability, these are kind of average peaks distributions for the different buckets that they put the flows into. But even on a below normal year, the average doesn't get up there, but you'll have some peaks that get up there. So I think we're going to be able to boat this, 6 or 7 weekends a year, which is awesome for it being so close and convenient and beautiful. It's just a treat. The rest is text. Talking a bit about the camping. I already mentioned it. Just really great camping all around there. In the summer, it gets overrun, but that's usually not when it's flowing. In the spring, you've got plenty of options to choose from. The other really exciting thing is we've got more. We have run this 10.4 miles and found a bunch of put-ins and takeouts, and that's enough to just have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. But we still haven't done from Cowles down to the Mora confluence. I was going to try and walk that, maybe fish it and walk it when the water level was low. But I didn't get around to it, and I don't know that I'll make it before it flows. But we haven't run that yet. I can't scout it at all. You look at it on Google Earth, and the canyon is so deep and the trees are so tall that I can't even see where the river goes, much less be able to discern features on the river that could be dangerous. So, and the river or the road is a long way away from the river in that section as well. So there's really no effective way to scout it other than to walk it. If I get a couple of really awesome boaters that want to just run it, and I'll do that. But a team only and like a team of 3 type scenario to scout that out for the first time. I would be surprised if there's not very dangerous strainers in there that we need to make sure we take out and scout in portage, but we'll see. So that'll be a great section. And then below Dalton, picnic ground, you can go down to Monastery Lake. We've done part of kind of in the town of Pecos, and we've done from Pecos down, in the past, we've done Pecos down to South San Ysidro, and I've done Villanueva State Park to Tecolote, or Teclotito. So there's other sections that we've been able to do in the past, but this is the first time we've gotten to do the sections up here. And again, there's more to explore, so super excited. And this was the last slide that I put in here. We'll talk about some fences, and we'll talk more about all the people and all the work that went into making this possible. I can't thank you all enough, and I can't tell you how amazing a place you opened up for boating. Just a huge treat for New Mexico. And I was on the board with Adobe when we signed on to be the plaintiff for the writ of mandamus, and awesomest thing the club ever did. Super proud of everybody and everything, and to be part of Adobe Whitewater, and all the work by New Mexico Paddlers Coalition, There's people that aren't on the call that put in a lot of work to make that possible. So just it was worth it. For me, especially because I got to run it and I'm going to get to run it again. So I'm just super happy that it's there. And yeah, I'm calling it world-class Whitewater. It's up there. It's a really nice place.
Quick question. This is Paul. I'm looking at American Whitewater, and do you know, is this their Cowles to Pecos run?
Yes,
It would be, yes.
Okay.
that's
So
the one that mentions the 2003 effort with Tom Roby and Tim Schofield writing letters.
Okay.
I'm working with Hattie Johnson, the Western Regional Rep for American Whitewater. She's also a member of the New Mexico Paddlers Coalition, which NMPC came about because of this Supreme Court case. They had a little better capacity to get into the litigation more so than AWC could as a 501c4. So thanks to Sherry Barrett for starting up the New Mexico Paddlers Coalition, and to Donna and myself and Rob and Norm and Steve Harris and Hattie Johnson and Donna and Sherry for being part of that New Mexico Paddlers Coalition, which has done a lot of the behind the scenes work on the legal sides. But it was interesting to find that 2003 report. I've also talked to Hattie today, and I've got a meeting in 2 weeks to talk to their mapping people. At one point, I created a bunch of hazard maps for the Pecos, and now that we've removed these fences, I want to go in and update those comments. And we may be able to get a few of us, like Adam and Steve and myself, assigned as stream keepers and have edit privileges to the American Whitewater Maps application to share some of our information about these. Well, Steve, I can talk about some of the history of the fences and things here. We've got some pictures. Feel free to comment in. This is one of the first fences that we were contacted. There's a friendly landowner up there who was just trying to keep the neighbor's cattle off her property that would come and make a mess on her porch throughout the winter. And so she put up that fence on the left, had her yard hand do that. And you can see by the looks of it, there's multiple cables going through it, a lot of PVC. It was intended to keep cattle out, not so much fishermen like some of the other pictures that we'll see, but it definitely would not be friendly to a boater coming down the river. So this is the only fence that we've actually gone in at the owner's request and retrofitted, and we did it at no cost to the landowner. We wanted to provide an example to the other landowners of what a compliant fence looked like. So we took down that fence on the left and installed that fence on the right. And what it is, it's a single cable going across. Luckily, there was some very secure steel fence posts that we could anchor to. We could put a high tension cable there. We drilled holes through PVC. Those pipes are about 10 feet long. We had to go back and shorten it later. But what we created was like a beaded curtain. And for some reason, just like a cattle guard, if a cow was real skilled, he could walk across the cattle guard, but most of them are not going to attempt that. And so they feel the resistance of these hanging pipes, and they don't attempt to go through those hanging pipes if they're close enough together. Those are 6 or 8 inches apart. The different colors, the white and the gray, don't mean a whole lot. It's just the pipe that I was able to purchase on hand. That fence retrofit cost us about $800. And I believe it was AWC that paid for that rather than NMPC. But I can't swear to that, but pretty sure it was AWC. And I've still got some of the pipe left over. We had a crew of about 9 people up there that day. We got it strung up. The cable slipped a few weeks later. Steve Matthias went back up with me, and we were able to tie figure 8s in the cable rather than relying on the clamps. We got it rehung. There was never any mention of cattle crossing through there. Of course, shortly after that, the neighbor's two cows, one of them died of old age and another one succumbed to a mountain lion across the river. But we went in and showed these people how to create a compliant fence, and you can push right through it. It's not like the ones lower down on the Pecos that if you don't have the right technique, those slap you upside the head pretty hard. This one's pretty free hanging and easy to get through. So this is at the Sandra Bennett property. She also runs our Airbnb type cabin up there. So if anybody's interested in driving up that Trail Ranch Road, I can put you in touch with Sandra Bennett and she can get you some gate combinations. And she's got a little stone cabin. They call it the dugout. And then they've got nicer cabins as well. And she spends her summers up there. Nicest lady. Let's go to the next slide, if you would, Adam. The first time I ran this was on November 19th. Norm Gom was up there with me, and he was kind enough to run shuttle. And we had reports that this fence in particular had been removed or made compliant. So I took a pack raft down and I stopped and talked to Sandra and had a cup of coffee with her, and nicest lady. It's hard to see, but behind that white PVC, which is supported by a cable at the top and another cable at the bottom, which makes it very dangerous. Behind that is a whole bunch of coils of concertina wire. And of course, they've got their signs on there, no trespassing, private river. The yellow signs at one point was put out by the Game and Fish Department and issued to the landowners that requested it, and it says non-navigable. And there was about 5 of those initially issued. Those were later rescinded and rejected because of our efforts. But if that hadn't happened, there was another 12 that were waiting for their non-compliant, non-navigable signs so that they could block people out of the river. These are in holdings in national forest areas. They want to block out the general public from the river, mostly from fishing. I don't think most of them are too concerned about people paddling through, but they don't want people coming in fishing the river on their section. Some of them have done improvements. They want to exclude people and charge exorbitant prices for private fishing experiences on their property. But the fact that this fence has been made compliant, the fences have been removed, the wires removed, the bottom cables are removed. It does kind of define their boundary, but their boundary really means nothing. If you're fishing the river, you can walk up that river, whatever means. If you need to step out to go around an obstruction or a hazardous area, you're authorized to do that. But they didn't want anybody in there. And the fence upstream of this was even worse. There was no possible way to get through it. They had it intertwined with barbed wire. It was a mess. So that upper fence was removed. This is called the Briones fence. It was changed, modified, made compliant, so you can paddle right through it. And then the Sandra Bennett fence was immediately below that. So let's go to the next slide. And we've got tons of pictures that document these types of fences. This is the Dominguez fence, which is visible just upstream of the Torero Ranch Road bridge. And the bridge is public. There's a parking area that's public. You got to make sure and pay your $5 fee to get in there and park, and then you can fish. But prior to this Supreme Court case, they had this fence here not just to keep their cattle out from escaping their property downstream into the Forest Service, but mostly to keep fishermen out. And the fence, it had gone into disrepair back in December of 2022 or 21, and they actually rebuilt it even after the Supreme Court ruling came out. They rebuilt it. This landowner later, when they were forced to remove it, contacted us and wanted us to put a compliant fence in, and we declined changing the fence since his cattle were no longer there. There was no justification for putting up a cattle retaining fence. So, but we did offer to remove it completely, and that's what we went in October 19th October 19th this last year and removed this fence at low water. We were supposed to do it the previous year, but the weather got so bad that we couldn't get in there. So before the water came up in 2025, we made sure to get rid of this fence. Adam was there that day, Steve, Jonathan, Natalie, Kate LaRish and her husband, Rose, myself. I've got some really cool video of Jonathan dragging this big log out of the riverbed with his truck and a couple of my straps. But we got that fence all removed. We piled it up. We hauled it off to recycle. That was the last big fence. Now there's just the biggest hazard fence-wise is a cable. I don't know if, well, Adam showed you pictures of that cable. Is there any more pictures after this one, Adam?
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is just us removing that one.
Yeah, actually, yeah. There's a good picture of Steve and Adam and myself. You can tell the water's much lower there. There's not a risk. I think there's a picture of some logs too, but this was in October and you can see the difference. That's why we go in there at low water before the snow. When we rebuilt Sandra Bennett's fence, there was snow on the ground and it was ice, and we had to hack ice out at one point working on that fence. Let's go one more forward and see if there's a picture of the logs. Yeah, so that picture on the left, that was just downstream of the Mora Campground, the Mora confluence. And we had found that log across there. I contacted Cheryl Coles with the Forest Service. I told her I was going to be up there. This was December 28th of 2024. I talked to her and told her we were going to be taking the picture out on the right. There's 2 logs across the river on Sandra Bennett's property. And I mentioned that other log was up there, and she actually sent a crew in and they removed that log on the left. And there's no evidence of it at all. They did a much better job than I could have. So the Forest Service is keen on helping us, mitigate any risks, hazards. If we encounter these, we can report them. Tell us first. If it's something we can handle, we'll probably go in and do it. But we've got their blessing to go in and cut these logs out if we can do it in a safe manner. And the fact that they sent a crew in and removed that log on the left, that's a great win for us. Now the logs on the right, you can see the ice on there. I took 3 chainsaws up that day, and it took 2 days to remove that hazard, but had we not done that, that would have been a mandatory portage. And that was right upstream of Sandra Bennett's hanging fence, right at her fishing pond. And Rose helped me up there that weekend, and we were able to rope the logs up. As I cut sections, we rolled them up on the bank so they just didn't float down the river and create a hazard somewhere else. This is something I enjoy doing. I've cleared a batch of logs out of the Mama Chama section one year, but it's pretty easy to go in there with a chainsaw at low water. That water was cold though. I had waders and a dry suit and had trouble with my saws. But anytime you encounter hazards like this, I think there's one more slide of the pictures we took out above Torero too.
No,
Nope.
I thought
wait.
there was too.
Yeah, I thought we had some. They may have gotten knocked out, but I got some good pictures of the logs. Adam and Steve and I were able to walk up and use electric chainsaws that time to tie onto a log, cut it, pull it out of the current, buck it up into smaller pieces where it wouldn't ever be a hazard again. But it takes, the Supreme Court case was the big deal to get rid of the fences, but we're always going to encounter these natural hazards of logs and things. So if you have any encounters with private landowners giving you a hassle, be polite, be courteous, document anything with pictures, names, dates. Send it to us. We've got ways to report it to the Attorney General's office. I'm just so proud of the boating community, AW Club especially, and NMPC, and all of our affiliates, backcountry hunters and anglers, everybody that has supported us in getting this river opened up. Like Adam said, it's close to Albuquerque, beautiful camping. It's a variety. A lot of the club boaters I know only run the race course and the Chama Daily section, and there's so much more out there. Now that we've gotten the Pecos fairly open, our next focus is going to be on the Upper Chama, which is from the town of Chama down to the Heron Bridge, Highway 95 Bridge, which is the put-in for the Mama Chama section down into El Vado. So we've got some really great rivers and opportunities in the area. Thanks to Adam, and I call them the A-team, but there's Adam and Steve Mathias and Donna. I'd boat with these people anywhere. It's just a joy to get out on a natural river, face a bit of challenge, maybe some adversity of hazards, get them cleared out, open it up, teach and tell people about these areas. I feel that's our role as Adobe Whitewater Club, is to expand the community, and it's more fun for us too.
Hey,
Yeah, well-
hey, Scott and Adam, it's Rose here, and it's great to relive these river experiences with these awesome photographs. I wanted to say on October 12th, when we were out there working on that Dominguez fence, and I was loading my truck up full of trash. Me and Jonathan had the pickup truck, so we took most of the debris out. I kept a section of that black PVC pipe. It looked like a ladder. And I have it leaned in my backyard up against an aspen tree. And it's a great conversation piece when I have friends over. And it's just a fun story to tell what kind of work we've been doing clearing these rivers. So that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah, thank you, Rose, for your help. And yeah, it makes a good conversation piece. There are still some pieces at the Sandra Bennett fence. I thought it was part of her landowner or her neighbor's property, but it was actually Sandra, her helper, that built that fence. And there's still some of that black PVC on the neighbor's property. He's kind of piled it up on top of the pipe fence. Next time I go through there, I'd like to allow about an hour to clean some of that up. And I even left some new PVC pipes pre-drilled with holes and some wire so that we can fill in a couple of gaps on that swift current, the right side, west side of the river. So next time we go through there, I'll schedule with Sandra if she's there, and I'm sure we'll be offered a cup of coffee and be able to chat with her, and we can proceed on our way down to Jamie Koch. And like Adam said, I'm really looking forward to exploring that Cowles down to Mora Campground area. It's a very deep gorge, no telling what we're going to find in there. I don't have a whole lot of hopes about this section below Dalton. I know we've tried to scout at Monastery Lake, and there is no public access. There's signage prohibiting that. I need to look at my Onyx maps and find out if in fact there is any public land in that area that we could use as an access point. I hope to update the AW maps, American Whitewater maps, with these specific access points that we've listed out. I did post on Facebook. Somebody asked about the Pecos, and I gave them the section by section with access points. Even at mile marker 13, there's roadside parking, and there's a pretty good access there with a real short 1 mile run down to Upper Dalton day use area. That was my first experience on that with Adam and Grant and a bunch of others. We had a great weekend up there. But I hope to open up some of that lower section below Dalton investigate access points. From Rincon Road, there is an access point, no parking really, that you can run down to the Highway 63 bridge in Pecos and continue down through Pecos to the next bridge, which is the put in for the 16-mile section down to San Ysidro Bridge. That's a full day. We've had several groups go on that. That's a great trip. Takes you past Jane Fonda's ranch. There is a couple of down trees on that one that I offered to cut out. And I'm sure there's other comments. Some of you that are on the call tonight that have been down these sections, or maybe even back in the 80s when people used to run it regularly. They talk about running from Cowles to Pecos. And that would have been a long, long day.
Well, as soon as
Yeah.
it starts flowing, I'm thinking about just moving up there because I don't think it's going to last long this year.
Just set up camp. I'll join you.
Yeah, that's what I'm planning to do.
Yeah, I'll be there. It's nice. I'm looking forward to
Yeah,
it.
it's spectacular. It's fantastic.
Depending on
Everybody-
your skill set, I mean, this isn't something that we're going to
Yeah,
open.
no, it's not easy.
Yeah, we're not going to open this up to the entire club and any other affiliate clubs until we've at least run it one time to see if there's any new strainers. But I would recommend finding somebody that's run it before, or at least
We're not-
talk to them if they can't go with you.
We're not the police of opening it up, and nobody is. Anybody
No.
who wants to run it can,
Yep.
but take it with some serious warnings. There's still at least one very deadly fence. It's
And
not just a
last time we
cable. I don't
did
know
the
what you're
triple
talking
drops, there were 2 trees across the river, so you gotta be
Yeah,
on
and they
your
weren't there
toes.
the first time that I did it. The first
Right.
time that I ran
The
it, they
First 2
weren't there,
times
and
we
they
went
showed
there.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so eyes peeled. It's not the race course, and if it goes above 250, I don't know exactly what happens. I'm interested to find out to a certain level, but I'm sure, at 500, I think it's probably insane to unrunnable.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen it. I can't say that. I've only been there when I
We
was
had-
there.
We had Luke Andraka that presented on the Mora River for us, and I think he would be fine in there. But yeah, the average boater wouldn't want to be in there over 300. Now, the section from Pecos down 16 miles, that last 2 miles has got 14 of these hanging PVC fences. So it can be a challenge. And I've not run below San Ysidro, so I look forward to maybe doing that Villanueva section this next year. But snowpack's very minimal. We need to do our snow dance, hope for more. Anytime I go to the Pecos, though, I'll have a chainsaw with me. So if we find a log on Saturday, then that'll be the project for Sunday, is to go back and cut that log out. We'll try and keep it clear. We'll try and share current information, let people know where the hazards are. But it's a treat. Like Adam said, he said it's his favorite river. My favorites kind of alternate, and last year it was the Pecos for sure.
I don't know if I said it was my favorite, but the fact that it's up there and it's so close to Albuquerque.
It is.
And if I had my choice, I'd probably do the Gila and then the middle box of the Gila over and over, maybe. I don't know. The Canadian was really amazing as well, but discovering the Canadian, getting to run that is nothing like this, because we were able to run this in a bad year and it's right by Albuquerque. The Canadian I highly recommend, but good luck with the flows. Every 6 or 7 years,
That's a long
drop
day.
everything and go.
Yeah, it's a long day trip. We did it one year too.
Steve and I did it overnight, and it was the bomb. It
Better
was a
to-
little bit low, a little bit more flow would have been good, but it was beautiful.
Yeah, it's better to spend the night.
If you go to our website too, you can see Luke's report about the Mora River, which is a tributary to the Canadian. And I'd like to run the Canadian from where we took out all the way down to to the next highway bridge or even to Conchos Lake.
Speaking of the Gila, the movie called The Heart of the Gila was just here in Taos. They showed it at one of our local theaters. And you guys, can you compare the Pecos with the Gila? Because it seems to me like you have to have a tolerance for challenge and adventure on that Gila as well.
The Gila is so much more remote. I mean, the Pecos, it's like 2 mile sections to the next access point. The Gila, it's 50, 60 miles.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the movie was a 6-day trip, 30 miles. So yeah, I like the Pecos for the reason you can get off when you want.
One
Which
of
I
the-
I
which
like the
I
Gila. I like the Gila because when you put in, you're not going
can't
to see
get off.
anybody for, yeah,
Right.
you're in for three or 4 days.
I think we really need to appreciate the Attorney General, because if he had not been willing to enforce the Supreme Court ruling, I don't know that we could have gotten here.
Yeah, we've had previous meetings where we've really stressed the legal actions norms, really gone in depth and given us all the information about the Supreme Court. But I think this is our first chance to actually share the experiences that we're now able to have on the Pecos. And I did invite our entire legal team. I didn't notice any of them. I haven't gone through the attendee list, but I didn't notice any of them on the call tonight. But this recording certainly will be recorded and shared with them so that they can see the fun that we've been able to have and the value that they've added. There's the Mora. Oh, you got a bunch of pictures here.
That looks like a
got a
low-head
few.
dam.
It's a gauging station.
Yeah, but it still looks like a low-head dam.
Oh, it's fun. That's actually me.
It's a mini
There's-
low-head dam.
There's Steve. Pack rafts are ideal for this. A lot of rocks though. That's why I'd be kind of hesitant to take a hard shell. You get upside down in that and you'd need a helmet for sure. I still feel more comfortable in an IK so that I can carry extra paddle and safety gear. You can't do a whole lot of rescue in a pack raft, but that's the Cocopelli right there.
So yeah, I had a few pictures left. I couldn't put them all in the presentation because the presentation was already gotten too big for us to email it to each other. So
I have a great video of the fence at Tres Lagunas, and I was not able to send it out because it was like 34 megabyte.
the fence of Tres
How does
Lagunas.
that trace Lagunas? You can't actually get over to that part where
That's
the
not just a cable. That's all wrapped up in barbed wire and
there's
stuff, and it's
barbed wire
can't
all the
see
way.
it. It's right in the current. That's
There's a nasty splice right in the middle of it.
Those
Just
are
below-
great photos.
Just below Bert Clancy area, there's another cable, but it's about 4 feet above the river, so you can paddle underneath it. But we've got pictures of Donna and I sitting on the cable at low water that was part of the Supreme Court case. They've got a sign too mounted to that big log right there that warns about hazards in the river and man-made features, I think is what they text said. And yeah, the biggest problem on that, other than this cable, the problem is this cable. The problem is not the water features that were there to play in anyway. It's this cable.
I mean, this thing is nasty. It's a matter of time, and it could kill somebody because it's not easy to see.
We did put some flagging upriver on the left side because originally we stopped on the left when Adam first spotted that.
This one scared me. Like I barely got us out of the river in time, and if anybody had failed to eddy out, it wouldn't have
Yeah,
been
the
good.
first time it looked like you could maybe get under it on river left, but no way.
It was just tricky to spot because in the
Yeah,
middle,
you
it's
couldn't
it's
really
kind of
see.
in the white, and
Yeah,
you're like, is there a like, oh, we better stop. Like,
we better get out.
The other cables, there's two cables that are not so much in play. The one I mentioned below Jamie Koch, there's a patio that kind of extends out over the river. Just beyond that is a cable about 4 feet above the river. You can stay center current, go under it. If you get to the sides, there's some hog wire that they should remove from the river. That's a good picture of the cable back there, right there. We're trying to sneak the boats underneath that cable. Can't go right at a log for all the barbed wire. So we're taking boats under the cable.
You gotta lift the boats over the log, and it's easy to toss them over on the river right
Yeah.
at the log.
just don't try and boat it.
Don't try to boat it.
Nope.
Don't get to about here and be like, oh no, because yeah,
Maybe next year we can get the AG sick them on the cables. There's a really bad fence on the Upper Chama. So I'd like to focus now that we're getting this flossed out, get the Upper Chama cleared out. Upper Chama's even I would say more pretty, but um, it starts at the Colorado line, so it's a long drive to get up there.
in that section, class 4 and choked with.
There's one section that's class 4. Yeah, I've talked to Doug Scott Murphy that's running an IK Portage part of it, but that's just above the town of Chama. There's
I'd like to run that stretch sometime.
But that Upper Chama section from the town of Chama, if you know where the fence is, it's not too bad. You can actually float an irrigation ditch for 100 yards and not have to carry your boat very far. But if you don't know it's there, there's no way to pull out and avoid it. And it's a nasty, full-on strainer, 3-wire barbed wire fence.
Awesome. Well, any other questions or any other comments related to this?
So I ran 2 days in a row, and the first day I rode my air outfitter, my big boat, the one that feels like a bathtub. It's so safe. And then the second day I rode in this one. This is my blue, my turquoise little hot potato, they call it, the beefed up version of the Spud. And it's so much more fun in the little boat. Bouncing around and quick maneuvers were so much more fun in this one than it was my big bathtub.
Yeah,
So
the
yeah,
IKs are kind of bulky. The pack rafts and the Spuds. Adam's got a Spud, and
yeah,
Yeah, I think the Spud was better. I would
yeah,
pretty much always take the Spud on this because I also don't need to take any gear with me on this run. Like there's great camping, but it's not wilderness camping. You're not having to take all your gear down river. So Spuds are great, pack rafts.
just out there to have fun.
And boy, is it fun. It is
It was a lot of fun to have.
And again, everybody who made this possible, I cannot thank you enough. It is amazing. Just thanks so much for all the hard work to make that happen.
It's still ongoing effort.
And I kind of hope that the boating takes off a little bit more. Don't want it to be like super crowded or anything, but it'd be nice to get some. I think if we can establish a boating community using it for boating, it's not going to hurt making the justification that, hey, this has value
And I
to the
think it's
public.
fair to say in the whatever 3 weekends we were up there in the spring, people were pretty positively receptive, right?